Okay, hey, Ringo back. Gonna do some more of those review things. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, Trying a new mic setup. We'll see how well it works. Anyway, so here we're doing the last video, the continuation of the round from part 2. The injured fighter has been taken off and the fight's been reset. So here we go. As the fight starts, you can see that the executioners greatly outnumber the first swords. We have 3 first swords within this engagement range, and there's actually 6 executioners in engagement range here. It's hard to see Jay, but there's a shadow at the top, so it's not a great situation for them to be in. The first swords have a decent position by putting themselves in the corner. However, what this does is allow them to post up, use the rails to give them more defense, so they can take more abuse and not go down as easy. However, the big problem is that means they have nowhere to go, and they can't really attack from there. So, as we see, they all pull into the corner here, basically creating a sort of line on that back corner. And as you can see, the executioners don't really engage. Ringo, I don't know if I should refer to myself as the third person or not, but whatever, that's what I'm doing for now. So Ringo pulls back, and sort of allowing him to pick up other options if something appears, and the others just sort of sit looking for whatever option they have. Gary gets in this guy's face right here. I believe that might be Brendan Freeman, and sort of keeps him occupied on the rails, while the rest of the executioners just look for a target. And you can see Jay coming in here, and Brandon sort of looking, does he want to go here, does he want to go here, or does he want to go here? Trying to figure out what the best target is. You can see that Lane and Peter both went to engage whatever fight was happening there, and Ringo's head is turned that way as well. So this is a thing we talk about a lot, dude potential. You always have to be aware of how many dudes are still up, and how many dudes are in front of you. So if there are more dudes unaccounted for than you can see, so who's ever in front of you plus however many people you know are down, if that number is not equal to the total number of dudes possible, then that means there's someone coming from behind, and you have to try to track that and figure out where they are. So that's where you'll see the head going back and forth there. See, you can see checking the 6, checking here. Alright, so this engagement, Ringo's going to run in here. Oh, I need a different tool for that. Sorry, still learning this. So Ringo's going to come in here and then pop here. So it looks like he's hitting Kraken and then CJ. What this does is it engages 2 opponents at once. That first charge in isn't actually meant to do anything. If he gets lucky, he might get a takedown, he might do a little bit of damage, but really it's just meant to freeze that opponent up. By doing that, he can't really do anything. He can't really be involved in the play for half a second, maybe a full second, however long it takes. Enough time to engage this other target here and hold him down. So now both targets have been engaged by one fighter without actually making it a real 2-on-1. This is sort of a key to how I play my flanker role and how I think most people should, where you hit a dude and then you immediately leave so that he still has to deal with the fact that he thinks he's fighting someone while you're off doing something else. So that's what this does right here. And we can see, comes in, throws that shot, and then, boom, engages CJ here. Now, why would you bother to engage the second fighter? There was no clear check, there was nothing, no good option there. Well, what that opened up is this angle for Brandon to come in, and now he can throw shots here, he can throw shots here. Really, he could throw shots here as long as Kraken doesn't involve, and Jay can also pick whichever target he wants. Jay's actually going to run off screen. Kraken is going to follow him. We'll see that happen in a little bit. But the key is that by engaging Kraken, it stopped him from making a move on Brandon or catching Ringo on the way in. And it also now frees up, by grabbing CJ, it frees up Brandon to start to go to work. And as we can see, boom, he lands that heavy shot right there. And then CJ starts to pull in and try and take him. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. We're going to take a look at what's happening with Gary. Oh, crap, I lied. This is a little bit right here. So this is what I was looking for. So if we take a look at this fight right here, Gary and I believe Brennan Freeman, what you're going to notice happen is that Brennan is over the top of Gary's head. His arms are both above Gary's shoulders. This gives him some strong control over Gary's neck and can really wrench down his head, which is good in that where the head goes, the body follows. You can throw someone off balance. However, you don't have any body control there. Your neck is very mobile, so as someone pulls it, they can kind of just let their head go down. So it's a good way to start getting someone off balance, but it's really hard to finish a throw from there. And we'll notice Gary's arm comes up here, and that's going to give him an underhook. The underhook gives you control over your opponent's body and really their shoulder. But it means that in order for Brennan to throw him, he's going to have to be moving with the same shoulder joint that Gary's holding on to. So everywhere he drives, Gary's going to have a piece of leverage that he can pull himself back up into. There's a couple of other things that are not great that we'll show you right, if I can get a good clean angle. Yeah, so if we come back here, right here, Brennan is sort of trying to get involved in this 2-on-1 here, trying to push through Gary to get there. However, he's not really ever going to do that because of where his feet are. If we can... So this is Gary's foot, and this is Gary's foot. These are Brennan's feet. Brennan is on the inside of Gary's feet from the rail. That means Gary can easily sink into the rail and hold himself there. He's got leverage. He has support. You're not going to be able to drive through someone unless you're way stronger than them if they have that position. In order to pull someone off the rail or drive through them so they don't have that support, you need to get your foot to the outside of their foot. So that you're the brace against the rail. The rail acts like a third leg. It's a third support. So anytime they're in contact with it, they can use that. And the way to get them off is to insert yourself between them. So by not doing that, by staying to the inside here, he's not really going to be able to move him and get involved. His other option, and I think it's the better option, he's not really tied up here. Gary's underhook is not deep. It's not really even a hook. It's just kind of wrapped around the back of his back of Brennan's back. So Brennan just came out here. He could easily engage me, or even better, possibly catch Jay on that run as he chases Kraken. But that's a a hard option to pull, and I think he would have been fine had he just switched his feet and pulled Gary off the rail. So we're gonna go back a little bit more, and we're going to go back to this 2-on-1. So, from here, we see Kraken come in, and he's going to push Ringo off as Brandon starts to lay blows. So, as I back up, god damn it. I guess I'm just going to use my eye, because I can't do this third-person shit. So as I back up, Brandon starts throwing in shots. CJ's going to try and grab Brandon. So, Kraken has successfully broken the 2-on-1 there. However, because Jay's sitting right here, Kraken does not feel comfortable following me in, and basically ends up with the two of us on CJ in this corner, and which is possibly a good call by Kraken. So here we go. We see that, and Kraken tries to get out and find something better to do. The only real problem here is that means that there's two of us taking on CJ, and he's not engaged anywhere else. He's keeping Jay out of the fight, but we're still going to win this. Theoretically, we should win this 3-on-2. Kraken needs to make something happen. So I think that right here, my eyes are down. I'm not paying attention. I'm not doing dude control. Had he come and tried to get a quick check or kick, yes, he'd have eaten a shot from Jay, but he might have dropped me and might have survived. I don't know what happens on where he ran, so maybe he had a better, something better happening over here on the other side of the field. It's really hard to tell, but definitely letting this 2-on-1 happen is very dangerous. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what happens in this 2-on-1. So you can see I'm throwing a bunch of shots, and they're not going anywhere great. There's a bunch of armor right here. I don't know if you can see it, but he's got scale armor, and he has some good thigh protection. See, this one lands right into his hip, where he's got hip protection. That one's right into his butt, where he has butt protection. And this is another thigh protection. And yet, despite that, as he goes in, he immediately starts to back out. Why is that? Well, partially because those scales may not actually offer the best protection, but really it's because as you get hit, even if a shot is going through armor, it makes you react. That's really why we throw shots. We're not necessarily looking to hurt people. It's great if you can, but it's not the only goal. The main goal is to make them react, make them do something different. And so we see CJ back up to the rail here, trying to get clear of these shots that I'm throwing. What that means, though, is that Brandon is now free to start working his axe. And that's bad. So as Brandon starts to go to work, boom, lands a shot right in CJ's shoulder. I start trying to pick up field position. However, I don't do a good job as I kind of just stand here. So this is another key point. Never just stand around waiting for something to happen. It's bad play on my part. There's still this fight going on in the corner. Neither of them really has an advantage. And we're going to watch as Brandon lands that good shoulder shot. CJ tries to run in again. And this is where he kills himself. He puts one foot right here and doesn't slide this other foot in. So he's a little bit too wide. Brandon manages to get a good clinch with the one arm, and this other arm doesn't really do anything, but he has that axe still in good position. And he's going to start pulling. That's going to drive CJ this way. CJ is going to try and take this foot. I'm going to clear all this shit again. Take this foot and step to catch up with him. However, he's not going to be able to get the full distance he needs. And this foot is actually due to a poor, I guess you can't really call it a decision, just accidental where he stepped. He ended up right in front of Gary's foot. And so, as he takes that step, you can see his legs are way too wide. We like to say shoulders over thighs over feet. Those are his shoulders. They're not over either thigh. Maybe over this thigh, but not really. And they're not over his feet. So his step is way too wide. And so even though he's moving with Brandon, it becomes easy for Brandon to just toss him to the ground. All right. So the fight's about to finish. What we're going to talk about right here, oh wow, I've gone way too long on this a little bit, is a concept that's real simple. It's just changing your shots, throwing high-low. So I'm going to throw into his crease with my falchion, and then into his face with my buckler. Ready? Boom. There's the crease, face, crease, face. So you can see his shield keeps coming up and going down and up and down, and he never really catches up. Boom, 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 boom. So even though I'm throwing into his armor, which is bad, you should never try to throw into someone's armor, and even though my punches are weak as shit, if we watch, you can see there's basically nothing on this. It's just sort of, boop, puts it out. It keeps him from really doing anything, and it keeps him working. It allows Gary to start throwing shots, basically keeps his defense locked up. And that's the idea. You really want to make sure you're throwing not always to the same spot. You're throwing multiple shots in high succession, forcing your opponent to go to not know where you're going, to try to play catch up. And that way, he can't do anything else. He just has to play defense, and it lets your players go to work, as we see right here. Now, you can see Brandon gives me a little push, and you can't hear it, but he's going to yell for me to get out. which is this is smart. Instead of trying to throw over me, where there's basically no angle, where Gary has him locked down sword side instead of shield side, he's going to get me out of the way so he can go to work. I'm going to roll out here away from where the call, because I don't really know what's happening. My head is down, I can't see what's going on. So instead of trying to figure that out, I'm just going to know that I need to move, know that I felt contact, whoops. And so I'm going to roll out and then reassess. So you can see, turn out, reassess, figure out what's going on, look for targets. Notice Jay and Brandon are both doing the high-low. Jay throws high, Brandon throws low, Brandon throws high, Brandon throws low. That was actually the fight ending right there. Something happened on the other side. So some key concepts you want to take away from that. Always make sure your foot is to the outside. Always make sure you're changing your strike pattern. High-low, high-low, high-high, high-low, whatever it is. Make sure you're making them react to it. And yeah, those are going to be the two key main points there. So that's Ringo Reviews Blood and Steel Part 3. We'll hopefully get another one up tonight. Bye.